Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bourbon Obsessed New Bourbon Releases News Podcast, your commercial-free and therefore money-free bourbon podcast for Monday, October 6th. I am Ed, and this week I'm joined by my usual co-host, friend, and bourbon aficionado, Dean Langdon. Dean, how are you doing today?
Doing wonderfully today, Ed. It's been a great weekend. It was bourbon on the banks. The weather has been beautiful. Just like a hog and high cotton. I think that's mixed metaphors, but it's been good. So.
Yeah, the Bourbon and Banks was a very nice festival. You had been before, but for me it was the first time that I had been. So
it certainly doesn't have the oomph of the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, but there's a lot of craft distillers. The longest line I saw was maybe 7 or 8 people. You could actually talk to the people there, and some places I didn't even get to all the places I'd never heard of before.
Oh, no.
I felt bad about that, but man, it was great because I'd never heard of them and I wanted to try them.
Well, I tried to intentionally go to all the places I hadn't heard about, which is usually my goal at these festivals. But it was very cool and it had a number from out of state as well.
Yeah.
So
I was astounded every time I walked by the Four Roses booth. There was nobody there.
Really?
Well, they just had like their small batch. They had their 3 basic products, and so people weren't there for that.
Did you make it down to Makers?
I did make it to Makers. They had their 2023 wood finishing
the
series,
one.
which was very nice.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see that. I hadn't had that in ages. So
at least since 23.
That was quite a nice surprise. It was also a surprise to see Makers being one of the last distilleries at the end.
And nobody, the big guys don't get any better treatment there than they do than anybody else.
It seems like everybody's distributed around, big, alternating with craft, alternating with out of state, alternating with crafts.
Yeah.
Wine, they had wine.
They had wine and beer. The only thing that disturbed me, and when I do my survey, I'll mention this, is Peerless was right next to a bank of porta potties, and that had some sensory dissension there.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Well, but there were also some really good smells. I mean, whoever was right next to that barbecue that was cooking, that smelled phenomenal. Every time I walked by that, it's like all I wanted to do was get all of it.
Barbecue. I know, right? Yeah. Well, it's a good festival, so we highly recommend it. It sells out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
they limit and they stagger attendance. So it's like early birds at 1, people at noon. There's another, 1 then 2, and there's another group that comes in like from 4 to 6. It's like a twilight group. And so I think that's a great idea. It just sort of modulates things.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't think the earlier people necessarily leave. It just progressively gets more people, so it costs less if you come for that last 2 hours than if you come early.
But it costs a little bit more.
But that's also perfect for anybody that couldn't get there for the whole day or had to work or something or could get out early, because normally you'd be buying a full price ticket. Here you could just buy the 2 hours and go, which is
anyway. So I think it's a great festival. They have 5 or 6 people playing music throughout the grounds, which is a nice touch.
I had never seen. I did not expect that. I actually saw it on the map, and then I was like, "There's going to be 5 stages of music."
It's all acoustic. It's all pretty laid back, and So they've done a great job of building it. It's changed a little bit in the 3 or 4 years I've gone. It's gotten better and just more organized and things like that. So,
but I gotta say, the other thing they did really well was just the stuff no one ever talks about it. But I mean, there were plenty of banks of porta potties spread throughout the festival. I mean, you were never more than like 100 feet from a set, and then water everywhere. Which is, water is one of those crucial things that many bourbon festivals do not pay attention to.
To the point of your guide about how to do the KBF, it would work for almost any bourbon festival. Stay hydrated, folks.
Well, especially yesterday. I mean, the temperatures were just in the low 80s, but the sun was out, and it was hot right from the start when it was still in the 70s because of that. So definitely need to stay.
People were congregating in the shade. So.
Yep.
So we need to talk about all these new releases.
We do. So we got.
People will be here for hours.
21 to get through. So we're getting pretty good at these high volume lists, and still finishing in less than an hour. So let's see if we can keep up that trend. So we're going to start with Angel's Envy. So Angel's Envy 10 cask strength, the brand's first age-stated release, arrives October 10, 2025, exactly 15 years after Angel's Envy's bourbon's originally planned debut. The original October release date was delayed as Lincoln Henderson, who y'all may recognize his name from the Hall of Fame and Old Forester and all. But obviously started this with his family. But anyway, Wes Henderson. But he did not feel that the bourbon was ready. So, however, the date still lives on every cork, which I actually had never noticed, and at bar 1010, which is the bar at the Angel's Envy Distillery. So aged a cumulative 10 years, and we stress cumulative because there's one interesting point to talk about in this, in New American Oak and Port wine barrels and bottled at 122.6 proof. This whiskey was crafted by master distiller Owen Martin. Only 24,480 bottles will be available for $249.99. There will be special tastings from October 10 to October 12, and they can be booked at angelsenvy.com. And those sound pretty good, so if you're interested in doing one of those, or there's one of them's a tasting with with Owen, which is probably really good. Probably could already be sold out, but maybe not. So if you're interested, I would check that right away.
Yeah. That's a neat product. I appreciate the fact that they're commemorating the 10 years, or the desire to have first put bourbon out in October of 2010. Of course, they didn't, but that's the right thing to do is to wait until it's ready. I'm curious how long it was aged in a new charred oak barrel as opposed to finished. But they're not going to tell us that, are they?
Well, this is the thing that's interesting about it. The press release says it's their first age-stated bourbon, but yet it's not an age-stated bourbon because it's carefully worded. It's like ancient age 10 stars that used to be 10 years and things like that. It's literally Angel's Envy 10 cask strength, not 10-year cask strength. And the reason for that is because that's where it says cumulative 10 years, because the aging time in that port barrel does not count towards the age statement that you could put on a bourbon. So I think there's just a little disconnect between the way that the PR people have worded it and what it actually is.
If the TTB says it's okay, the GTB, then it's okay, right? Yeah, who knows, right? But that's a clever fine line there to say, Angel's Envy 10 and not put the year after.
Right. There's the word year does not appear there. Yeah. So, and then they do word this, which I don't think you put it on the label, but in the materials, the cumulative 10 years. So there's some transparency there, but there's a little bit perhaps of obfuscation, but nevertheless, it's going to be a great bourbon. Oh, absolutely. So. And it goes along that trend of people having older and older whiskeys now, and we're starting to see people put age statements back on things again. So anyway, I'm a big fan of what Owen's been doing ever since he's been there. So I'm definitely excited to try this.
Yeah. I was intrigued. I looked at the tasting notes on the website, and it's the first time I've ever seen this tasting note for a bourbon. On the palate, baklava. Really? That's awesome if you can pull that from it, but that's more unique than marzipan to have a baklava taste.
What did somebody somebody's on the tasting panel bring in baklava for the group during that day?
I don't know. I found that unique. So and I love the way people write tasting notes. The way the producers write their tasting notes. Right, there's always a little bit of flourish there. So
well, we'll see if we get to try this.
There you go.
Now I've got baklava on my head, so I won't be forgetting that. But all right, moving on. So Larrikin Bourbon Company has announced its boldest release to date: a 7-year-old American light whiskey, single barrel, cask strength, and bottled at a blistering 145 proof, which would be Hazmat, over 140. This limited release will debut at Bourbon on the Banks, which it did on yesterday, 2 days ago for when the podcast airs, on October 4, with bottles available at the festival, the distillery, and online, and at select retailers on October 6th. This one's a beast, said Greg Keeley, founder and distiller at Larrikin Bourbon Company. 7 years in the barrel, bottled straight from the cask. It's bold, brash, and unashamedly different. American light whiskey doesn't always get the respect it deserves, but at 145 proof, it bloody well steals the show. So we don't actually have the price on. It wasn't given on the press release, but.
And neither Ed nor I had the prescience to go by the Larrikin booth at Bourbon on the Banks on Saturday and try it, so we can't give you a firsthand account. But
Well, on my behalf, I was
You
staffing
were working.
another
You
booth,
were working,
and
that's
they
right.
were sort of
And
far
on my
on the other
behalf, I
side.
had to leave early, so I didn't get to experience the fulsomeness of the festival. But
One of us should have made it. We will try it yet because I am.
we will. Yes.
It's not like we're going to forget about this one.
7-year-old is youngish for a light whiskey, from what I see in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's because it's all the stuff that MGP was the king of it, and
Right. And
that's all old
sad.
because it didn't sell. No one was interested in it when it came out. So light whiskey, for those that don't know, it's distilled to a higher proof than bourbon is. Its goal was to compete with the clear spirits back in the time of the bourbon slump when everybody was drinking vodka. But it did not do that successfully. So it sat around and aged, and now a lot of it has appeared, and it generally has a very nice taste. But yeah, 7 years is unusual.
It is, yeah. And it wasn't clear if this was a Kentucky product, an Indiana product, not at least that I could see. But anyway, I'm looking forward to trying it.
For some reason, I had in my head that it was Kentucky, but I didn't put it on here, and I do not
And I didn't
know
yeah,
where I got that from.
That's my sense, but I didn't see anything that said that. So
But I don't know of any Kentucky light whiskeys.
I don't either.
So
right, yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, whatever. I mean, I've liked what Larrikin does, and everything is full flavored. So I mean, this is right along the same line. So I'm sure it's going to be good. All right, next is Oaklore Distilling Company has launched Oaklore Story Series Oloroso Sherry Cask Finished 4-Grain Bourbon, a 6-year-old, non-chill filtered small batch bourbon bottled at 95 proof and priced at around $100. Limited to just 750 bottles, this release blends 5 to 6-year-old wheated and rye bourbon mash bills for a composite mash bill of 70% corn, 10% rye, 10% wheat, and 10% malted barley, before finishing for 12 to 18 months in Spanish Oloroso sherry casks. Aged in the humid subtropical climate of North Carolina's Piedmont region, where frequent daily temperature swings accelerate oak interaction, this release benefits from a more consistent and even maturation profile, and they're referring to Kentucky's weather, where we have bigger fluctuations. It is now available online at the Oaklore Tasting Room and at select retailers.
That's an interesting concept. I don't think I've ever seen a 70-10-10-10 mash bill.
I think that's actually their bourbon. We've talked about a number of their things, and they have a 4-grain bourbon that's that they had originally only sold in North Carolina.
Right.
Well, I think everything was originally.
I was
only
going
in
to
North
say,
Carolina.
I'll be surprised if you can get this outside of North Carolina because there's only 750 bottles.
No, this one may be tricky, but the bourbon, we had talked about it, I think, on both the news maybe and on new releases, because even though it had been around for a while, it had just a few months ago become a national distribution. So these may actually be able to be purchased at least online nationally. But
that would make sense.
But my point was it's being built off of the 4-grain. That's a 4-grain bourbon.
Yeah.
And apparently that was a slightly different mash bill than this one. This is the new 4-grain bourbon mash bill that they're using. But they had another in this story series, which is that limited series, and it was a port finished rye, I want to say, which I reviewed and actually thought it was really good.
Yeah. But I like the experimentation aspect of it. I mean, I think it's an interesting concept to blend those, to have that mash bill, and then, finish it in the sherry cask. It'd be, it's going to be unique, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that I've enjoyed their things, and I brought that bourbon because I had reviewed that too, and they had sent me a full bottle. And if I have full bottles of things that I like, I take them to bottle shares. And it was very popular, and it was a lower proof, so it was one of those where you got a lot of flavor out of something that wasn't a particularly high proof. This is a little higher. I think the bourbon was a little was lower than this.
This is what, 95 proof?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a decent proof point.
Anyway, so my brother-in-law and sister-in-law live in Charlotte. We're going there for Thanksgiving, so
there you go.
Well, hopefully they're going to be open over the Thanksgiving weekend. If they are, I will be stopping in and perhaps trying this or the next one.
Looking forward to what you dig up. Looking forward to it. So,
all right. So moving on, the Jack Daniel Distillery has unveiled Distillery Series Selection 15, a sweet mash Tennessee straight whiskey, a limited edition release highlighting the distillery's annual small run of sweet mash whiskey. distilled from a mash bill of 80% corn, 12% malted barley, and 8% rye, which is the standard Jack mash bill. It was barreled in 2016 and aged for nearly 9 years on the top floors of Track 2 barrel houses before being bottled at 117 proof. It's available exclusively in Tennessee and at the White Rabbit Bottle Shop, which is the gift shop at the distillery. The 375 milliliter bottle carries an MSRP of around $45.
And I don't know that they've ever, you'll know, have they ever released this before?
Not that I know of. I mean, we're seeing all this, like this sweet mash birthday bourbon. It's like everybody's.
They do this every year. They start the distilling season with a sweet mash, and that's how they get their back set for their sour mash.
Right.
I mean, what did they do with all the other batches?
I don't know what they did.
They just blend them in. It's a great, I bet they did. But
apparently they put them on the top of these warehouses. I would love to try this. We have to go to, who knows where.
Tennessee, right? Yeah, got to go to the distillery to get it.
Somewhere. So. But I mean, I don't know how much there is of it even and how easy it's going to be to find in Tennessee.
Right.
But I would like to try it. I mean,
it sounds like a neat product. I'd love to see. It'd be nice to sit down and taste it next to
absolutely
the regular product or a single barrel or or their 10-year-old or 12-year-old. So right.
I mean, it's older than the regular Jack, so you'd need to be comparing it to something that has more age on it.
Age. So it's good that they're. I'm glad they're starting to release things like this. It helps broaden the base. Well, it makes people think differently, perhaps, about Jack Daniels. So
I think. And this is the 15th in the distillery series. So, I mean, they've been releasing a lot of interesting things for a while. And that used to have a different name, that distillery series. Tennessee Sippers or Tennessee Tasters, I think.
Okay.
Because it came in those 375s back years ago.
Yeah, I think I tried they had a triple mash that was part of the distillery series, I think, that I tried, or triple malt, which was really interesting. So
I have a tequila finished upstairs, actually. That's one of these, which is actually... It's very good.
Yeah.
And interestingly, it was before all these other tequila finished that have come out this year. They came out like 2 years ago, I think. All right. So Wild Turkey Distilling Company has unveiled Master's Keep Beacon, the final chapter in its Master's Keep series. First launched in 2015, the collection has showcased the distillery's innovation and craftsmanship across 10 limited edition releases. Beacon is a 118 proof blend of 10-year-old bourbon distilled in 2015 by Bruce Russell and 16-year-old bourbon distilled between 2007 and 2008 by Eddie Russell. And for anybody that doesn't know, Eddie is Bruce's father, representing 2 generations of whiskey making. This culminating release honors the distillery's past and future with the collaboration between father and son duo Eddie and Bruce Russell. Oh, look, I said it in here. The release is the highest proof in the series and will be available globally in limited quantities for a suggested retail price of $300.
And just to make it full circle, Eddie is Jimmy's son. So,
right.
But Jimmy apparently didn't have anything to do with this particular Master's Keep release. It's the next 2 generations of father and son, Eddie and Bruce. That's neat. I like the fact that they're using that as a factor, and they're not just saying that both their names are on it. They both had a different role in distilling the juice, and then I'm sure they worked together to put it together. So I really think that's to me a true, authentic story. Not something that they had to make up or try to do to market it. It's just the way it worked out. So I'm looking forward to trying to find a bottle. I almost stopped by the distillery today. I'm not sure that it's out yet, but anyway.
It is out because they had that. I think they had a release event on last Monday or something.
Okay.
I actually found a bottle in Liquor Barn like a month ago.
Really?
It was. Yeah, it was just sitting on the shelf. I did like a double take. Yeah. I was like, "What is this?" and you pick it up because there's only 2 of them.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes there was only one, only 0 because the other one got bought. But so I was like, what's this? So I of course bought it, and then I actually asked the PR people what the deal is with that because there was no press release on it yet. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And so apparently this was getting released, and don't ask me why, in Australia first. and it wasn't going to be released in the United States till mid-September. And she said, well, some bottles got out. So I don't know. But anyway, so I got one. I haven't tried it yet.
Good for you. Yeah.
But I was very surprised.
Yeah.
And so,
that's a coup. That's a coup. I'm going to keep my eyes open. It's probably too late now, but one way or the other, you just never know where you're going to run across something like this. And so,
no,
be attentive and snatch it up if you can find it, folks.
I mean, it's got a lot. I'm sure it's going to be very good because the turkey stuff, Brussels stuff always is. But obviously a neat story, the collaboration father and son, but then also the fact that it's the last one in the series, which I had no idea that was coming either.
I didn't either.
So, the only problem with these, I used to buy them years ago, and then honestly, I soured on them a bit because of the price.
Right.
I mean, and I paid a little over $300 because our stores always mark them up a little bit, but I was like very surprised to see it, so I bought it.
The ones I got were $150, $180, and that was in the earlier part of the 10-year run. But they've certainly gone. Everything's gone up in price. Let's be honest. So
I know, but $300 is still up there.
It is. It is. That's right.
But all right. So next we talk about J.P. Wiser's. The official Canadian whiskey of the Detroit Red Wings is honoring the team's 100th anniversary with the return of its limited edition 10-year-old triple barrel Canadian whiskey. First launched in 2023, the collectible bottle features the team's iconic branding and a tribute to the Legend of the Octopus, making it a must-have keepsake for fans celebrating this milestone season. Crafted in Windsor, Ontario, the whiskey is a high rye expression aged in new American oak, ex-bourbon, and used Canadian whiskey barrels, and it is bottled at 80 proof and priced at around $25. It will be widely available across Michigan and inside Little Caesars Arena throughout the 2025 to 2026 NHL season.
So I'm curious how you decided to include this in our bourbon releases.
Well, there were many reasons why I included this.
I want to hear about them because it's like, okay, wait, this is a Canadian
Well, because
whiskey.
we've talked about other ones that when they've been related to sports teams.
True.
We talked about Sagamore and the Ravens, right?
Yeah,
So I figured that sort of gave it an in, and then I sort of put it in to vent a little bit because I don't think a Canadian whiskey from Ontario that's taken all U.S. whiskey off its shelves should be associated with the American hockey team. Yes, it really rubs me the wrong way.
I
have to say.
I hear that. Yeah. It is.
So I included it so I could say that. I really think there should be an American whiskey associated with an American team. I'm sorry.
It is a little bit weird to have a Canadian whiskey. I mean, it's great. We have a 100-year-old hockey team. I had no idea. Right, I'm not a hockey fan, but to commemorate that with a Canadian whiskey is a bit.
I mean, I realize Detroit is literally across.
It is right. It's across the bridge.
It still doesn't change, and I might not have even cared all that much if it wasn't for the fact that Ontario hasn't sold American whiskey in how many months now?
Yeah, it's going to be close. It's probably 9 months, 6 to 9 months.
So I mean, I just
since our
personally find this unacceptable.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't know if anybody agrees with me.
Let us know, folks, one way or the other. So, and you won't find it on the shelves here. You got to go to Detroit or the arena. So, if you get some, let us know what you think about it. It's going to be readily available. It's low proof. It's inexpensive. If you find some, give it a shot, right? Even though it's Canadian whiskey.
I'm fairly certain if it were in Kentucky, it would go over very poorly.
I'm sure it would, yeah. People will be using it to light sofas on fire after UK won, so we don't want to do that.
Except you can't because it's only 80 proof. So see, you can't even use it for that. All right. Anyway, I digress. We'll move on to happier things. Mm-hmm. All right. So Barrell Craft Spirits has unveiled 12-year French oak cask finished bourbon, a limited release blend of straight bourbons distilled in Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, and Wyoming that underwent a secondary maturation in hand-selected French oak casks with distinct toast levels and designed to enhance its aromatic depth and enrich its palate. Blended and bottled in Kentucky at 108.5 proof, the release is available online and at select retailers for $159 for a 750 milliliter bottle.
I don't have a encyclopedic memory about Barrell's products, but I don't remember them using a Wyoming whiskey before. And your inflection made me think that perhaps you haven't seen that either.
No, I mean, we know there's Wyoming, well, literally Wyoming whiskey, which would be my guess of where that came from.
Too.
But,
Yep.
I don't know. No, I mean, I am not an expert on every barrel release, and they have done an awful lot of blends, but it's certainly nothing comes to mind with Wyoming in it.
So, but again, nice idea. I like, French oak finishes are nice. I tend to like those. And Barrell always does such a wonderful job of melding those bourbons together. There's never, I don't think I've ever had a bad one. So.
Well, I'm trying to, well, they also were at the festival yesterday. So this could have been there. They also were on the, no, we were there, but I didn't make it over there either. Because I was trying to work my booth and try the ones that I had never had anything from. And I do like Barrell quite a bit, but I've had their things, so I just didn't go over. But I feel like I tasted a 12-year-old at the KBF, though. I wonder if that was this.
Could have been this one, right.
It was early in the morning while I was standing on the Michter's line, which was directly in front
right next to it. Because, so I
actually sampled multiple things while we were waiting.
I don't think I know I didn't try this at KBF, but I tried a couple of Barrell things, but not this one. So, but yeah, so good for them. They continue to come out with unique products.
Yeah, and they're always good.
That's how they found their niche, and they've done a great job of it. So.
And I'm still waiting for my bottle of the one that you bought ages ago that we talked about like 5 months ago, Barrel Decades.
Oh, the Decades? Okay, yeah.
Because I ordered mine through the
you still don't have
Total
that?
Wine Concierge. Yeah, over like a year ago.
Wow.
And it's still not here.
Need some follow-up. Right.
So one of these days, paid for it a year ago too. If I had invested in the stock market the way it's been going,
you'd have $120.
I'd have,
yeah.
Which is not bad.
Who's
instead I have an IOU.
Right, you have an expectation.
For a bottle of bourbon.
Right.
All right, so moving on. So Dierks Bentley has introduced Row 94 Full Proof Bourbon, price of $55, the third expression in the Row 94 lineup, and the boldest release yet. Barreled at 120 proof and aged a minimum of 4 years, this uncut expression is made from the same mash bill as the original, 70% Kentucky-grown corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley, which we recognize as Green River's mash bill, and aged in new American white oak barrels with a level 4 char. Produced in partnership with Lofted Custom Spirits at Green River Distilling Company, the whiskey has already received a gold medal at the 2025 Ascot Awards.
And so, I think our listeners and viewers should think about how many of the whiskeys we talk about today are actually Green River whiskeys, because this is not the only one. They are really making inroads as far as being a producer for other people, and landing somebody like Dierks Bentley, who's got tours going on and a pretty robust marketing campaign, is really good for them. So,
well, and I'm glad to see that it hasn't been like a flab. I'm always very cynical about that celebrity brands to start with. But I mean, he's sticking with it and continuing to release things. So it makes me feel like he's actually more invested in it than many.
Right. And it's foolproof, and that's always good, right? 120 proof is hefty, and it should pack a punch, and
Yeah, I'm sure it should be good.
$55 for a foolproof is right in the market there. I mean, Dirk's not getting much for using his name at that. You can get...
Well, he got it for that middle one. Remember, because we talked about... I think these have all come out since we've started doing the podcast. So the first one was like very inexpensive. That was like a 4 or 5 year, $39. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. It was very inexpensive. Then that one that was matched up to his concert tour came out.
Just about a month or two ago.
With almost very similar specifications for like $100. And we were commenting how that was so expensive. Right. Yes. And now we're back down to being reasonably priced again. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that was just higher since it was associated with his tour. Maybe he was just testing the water.
If you're going to pay $40 for a T-shirt, what's $100 for a bottle of bourbon, right?
Yeah.
Come on. So,
Well, you're going to almost pay that for a beer at the concert.
Right? Yeah. Whatever the market will bear, folks.
Yes,
that's the way it works. So,
but anyway, so I like this pricing better, and I'd like to try this somewhere along the line. All right, so next, Booker's Bourbon has released its third and should be final, batch of the year, Jerry's Batch 2025-03, named in honor of Jerry Dalton, the only master distiller, great trivia question, at the James B. Beam Distilling Company who was not a member of the Beam family. Dalton, originally a distillery chemist and close friend of Booker Noe's, went to work at Beam and eventually took over as master distiller before Fred Noe assumed the role. Fred has shared that he owes most of what he knows about the science of their craft to Jerry. This batch is aged 7 years, 4 months, and 21 days, bottled at 124.7 proof, and carries an MSRP of $100, which is the standard Booker's price nowadays. It was crafted from barrels produced on 7 different dates and aged across 9 warehouses. With this blend of batches and locations, Jerry's Batch brings together the microclimate conditions that these warehouses experience.
And usually, Beam is great because they give you the actual percentage of each batch. And this one has something I've never seen before, is each of these 9 locations is 11.1%. Yeah, it's like they're all exactly the same percentage, which is really interesting.
Except they wind up, where's the other 0.1?
Well, so it's angel share. 0.1 is the angel share. Jerry Dalton was a chemist, I learned, and he actually would give Fred tests and test him on the knowledge. So I thought that was sort of neat. A little bit different from perhaps what we think of as master distillers back in the day who learned the craft, right? I mean, he knew enough, he knew some science and applied it, which is really cool. So
yeah, probably how he, well, I guess that and being friends with Booker Noe, but how he got the job. Right. I mean, he's certainly qualified for it. And I mean, it's very.
And I think he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but it was only in the last year or two, which...
I never knew there was anybody except, a Beamer I know who served as a master distiller at Beam. So I learned something from the podcast, which is great.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's... I think from a marketing standpoint, they tend to be a little... He wasn't talked up as much, obviously, as the family. So, yeah. Alrighty, so the World Whiskey Society has unveiled its latest high-aged release, the Doc Holliday 16-year aged Kentucky Straight Bourbon, made with a mash bill of 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. This 16-year-old bourbon is well-aged, allowing the complexity of flavors to harmonize into a smooth, balanced experience with both sweet and savory characteristics, according to the brand. It is now available online for $400 for a 750 milliliter bottle, and the proof is not provided, which I'd sort of like to know for 400.
I would too, and I actually blew up the picture and looked on the label, and there was no proof statement on the front label anyway. It's cask strength, so we know it's not 100. Right?
So is this buff turkey, you think?
I don't know. This on Sunday morning, there were 34 left. So when you listen to this podcast, there might still be a couple left. $400 is a price point that not everybody's going to jump at. The name on the label was "I'm Your Huckleberry," and I'm not sure what significance that has, but it's a little quaint. So,
wasn't that from a movie? I mean, it is from
probably
somewhere.
Yeah. It's got to be. It's got to be from someplace. So I don't know where, but.
We have a Google we can ask, or ChatGPT, or everybody else. But,
right.
All right, but we don't have time, so,
moving
on. So Narragansett Beer and Wheel Horse Whiskey have announced a unique collaboration resulting in 2 complementary releases: Narragansett Barrel-Aged Baltic Porter and Wheel Horse Baltic Porter Beer Finished Bourbon Whiskey. This partnership goes beyond a simple barrel swap. First, Narragansett aged its Baltic Porter in freshly emptied Wheel Horse bourbon barrels. Once the beer was removed, the same barrels returned to Wheel Horse, where a Kentucky Straight Bourbon, already aged 4 years, was finished for an additional 4 to 5 months. The resulting bourbon is bottled at 101 proof and priced at $40. Both releases debuted at a launch event on October 2nd in Providence, and the bourbon will be available in select retailers across Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, as well as online, where I guess many more people can get it.
Yeah.
And since I was called out on this last time, I will mention that the prices on their website are always higher than the prices on the press release. I don't know if that's because it's including the credit card processing charge, because some of these companies do that. So so it's $42.99 on the website, even though the stated press release price is $40.
And again, it's 101 proof, 4 or 5 year old. That's not bad. It's a fair price point. I suspect this is also Green River product, although I don't know for sure. I think Wheel Horse.
I think we do know for sure.
Do we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other, there's another Wheel Horse product.
I'm pretty sure
it's
their bourbon
clearly,
is all. Yeah.
So
I think it even says it on the bottles.
it should have the DSP number on it, right?
Yeah,
It should have
I
the
mean,
DSP 10 on it, right?
So it's.
So this is for all our Northeast folks, our Northeast listeners, right? If you're in Rhode Island, Connecticut, or Mass, look for bottles on the shelves. It looks like an interesting blend. I don't drink that much beer, but I like porters and stouts. I like dark beers, and I think it works really well with whiskey. It's going to soften it. It's going to perhaps bring some of the chocolatey notes you get from a porter, I would guess. I haven't tried it, but it sounds like a great mashup, if you will.
Well, we had the Westward Stout finished, which was fantastic.
Which was lovely, yeah.
So I'm looking for this, and actually, I believe a sample of this is actually arriving tomorrow.
Excellent. There's a real neat video on the Wheel Horse website about how they did this, and it's got both the brewer at Narragansett and the distiller at Wheel Horse. And they play off each other, and it's just sort of nice insights into how they did this. And I think it's worked out well.
I wonder if my sample's going to come with the beer. That'd be cool.
Well, that'd be great. Yeah.
Well, Bardstown Bourbon Company did that when they did the stout finish. They sent the beer along with it. Yeah, it was very cool to be able to compare. Mm-hmm. So, alrighty. So next is another from Wheel Horse Whiskey. Whoops. And they've announced their fall 2025 limited release of Wheel Horse Cigar Blend Bourbon, a 5-year-old bourbon distilled at Green River Distilling Company in Owensboro, finished for a minimum of 8 months in a combination of port, cognac, sherry, and Armagnac barrels. Bottled at 101 proof, non-chill filtered, and priced at $40. I think 101 proof is what their regular bourbon is at. Isn't it? We talked about it a while back.
I think that's right, but I'm not positive.
And this is a 6,000 barrel release, and again, it's going to be $42.99 on the website. But nonetheless, I mean, I like their pricing is always pretty reasonable.
It is, yeah. And I think it's 6,000 bottles, not barrels. But
yeah, that would be a lot.
Yeah, it would.
I'll edit that out.
It's
I always have to sound correct. I don't want people to think I'm less than perfect.
I'm hesitant to correct things like that, but I don't want people going out, trying to find 6,000 barrels of something. So,
well, they won't have to look very far.
No, they won't. Yeah, not these days. I'm trying to think of a bourbon that's been finished in all 4 of those finishes, and it's not clear if they did them like chronologically or if they did them simultaneously and blended them. I'm not sure it makes a difference, but just curious about things like that.
I mean, almost everybody's that's done that number of barrels for the cigar or any kind of blend. They're usually cigar blend batch, whatever people wind up calling them. They're usually separate and then blended. So I assume otherwise the sequential, we'd still be waiting for this to come out.
Right. It would be 8-year-old, right? So, yeah. Right. So, yeah. All right.
But it wouldn't. It'd be 5 still. So, anyway, but yeah. So
that should be more readily available than the Narragansett, Baltic Porter.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think as there are those of us that are. I mean, I like Bardstown Bourbon Company's stout finished releases. There haven't been all that many people that have done them, but I think they do attract a more limited market. So I don't think when people put them out, they don't put out crazy quantities.
Right. Right. Yeah, and there's a reason for that. I think you're right. Yeah. There's a limited market for that. It's a niche, but I've been really happy with the ones I've tried.
Yeah, me too. So anyway, we'll be able to try theirs. All right, next is Copper Cask Spirits is set to release 3 new expressions in its small batch series this October, showcasing a range of finishes and aging techniques. The limited edition releases include Small Batch Series 12, a 7-year rye whiskey finished in tawny port and new toasted oak barrels, crafted from 8 hand-selected barrels of 95% rye whiskey. Most of the whiskey was finished in tawny port barrels, with a smaller portion in new toasted oak. And that's at 120.2 proof and $70 with just 1,800 bottles made. Then next is Small Batch Series 13, the 2025 Cigar Blend Bourbon, a 41-barrel batch composed of, is that the right word? Actually comprised, I think.
It is. Yeah, you're spot on.
Of both low rye, 21%, and high rye, 36%, bourbons aged for a minimum of 8 years. The blend was rebarreled into PX and Oloroso sherry, Armagnac, cognac, and tawny port casks. Sounds sort of familiar. For at least, but both of these whiskeys actually have the same parent company, Copper Cask and Wheel Horse.
I'm shocked. Yeah.
That's why we're getting a little similarity.
Right.
For 8 years, the blend was rebarreled into what I just said for at least 6 months of finishing. And that's at 118.2 proof. And again, $80. And this one's with 6,000 barrels produced, also similar. Next is the last one of these is Small Batch Series 14, which is an 8-year double oak bourbon created from 19 barrels of low rye, 21%, and high rye, 36%, bourbon, recast into new American oak wave stave barrels for a minimum of 10 months. It's at 120.2 proof and $75 with 3,600 bottles available. That's sort of a mouthful.
It is. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, but explain to our listeners what wave stave is. What do you? How do you? And what does it do for a bourbon like this? It's already going to be double oaked, right?
Well, for the wave stave barrel, smooth ridges are cut longitudinally within the barrel staves before the barrel is constructed, and that having those ridges within the barrel increases the surface area. The barrels generally are also a long toast and a light char, so it adds the characteristics that brings as well.
So yeah, I mean, again, interesting small batches, limited releases, limited barrels, fair price points for what they are. I think Copper and Cask usually does pretty well with their stuff. I looked on the website, and I think small batch 11 still had some bottles left, but all the others were totally sold out. And of course, they've been around for a while, but they sell through these.
No, they definitely do. Well, were you at the bottle share where I don't remember which number small batch it was, but it was the first one of theirs I had ever tried, and I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. And I brought it to the bottle share, and it was like one of the favorites. I don't think I was at
that one. Yeah. Is that the most recent one with just like 4 people?
No, this was okay. This one, we had like 15 or 20 bottles at that 4-person bottle share, though. But no, but this one was a long time ago, maybe a year. I was
gonna say, yeah,
because it was the first time I had tried Copper and Cask, and I was like very impressed. And then when I said that, and I looked online, everybody says like the same thing. I'd never heard of this brand, and it's now everybody has heard of it, and I've seen some people I know have recently done a pick with them, and
oh, neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good. So I honestly, I do not remember which one of these is coming, but I have a sample of one of them that should be coming here as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to that because the bar was set very high from the last one I tried. I thought it was outstanding.
Right. That's going to be easier to find than the next thing that's on tap here. But let's talk about.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to find this. I would like to try this, but that's not going to happen. Frey Ranch Distillery has unveiled Harvester Series Second Harvest, a limited edition wheat whiskey crafted from sustainably grown grains harvested exclusively on the Frey family farm. This is not easy to say. In Fallon, Nevada. Blended by master blender Nancy Fraley alongside Colby and Ashley Frey and master distiller Russell Wedlake. The whiskey is comprised of 52% 100% wheat whiskey, 14.25% 4-grain bourbon, 9.5% 100% unmalted barley whiskey, 9.5% 100% malted barley whiskey, and 9.5% 100% barley whiskey, half malted and half unmalted, and 4.25% quad malt whiskey. Barrels in the blend range from 4 years, 6 months to 8 years, 7 months of age, and it's bottled at 122.44 proof, and we'll leave out the marketing part, and then there's 600 individually numbered bottles are available, and they're priced at $250. But the problem with this one was that there were 333 of them that were allocated on an online lottery that already happened before the podcast aired. So even when I went to look at it, I had already missed it. And then there were 150 bottles available at the Frey Ranch tasting room on September 27th, but not heading to that part of Nevada anytime soon. That's not going to happen. So if you live in California and Nevada, the remaining bottles are going to be sold there. So I don't know if any of those stores are going to sell them online. So there's still, a little bit out there for people to buy. And, the coolest thing about this is a little tractor stopper that they put on the bottle. Yeah. But
what an interesting experiment with those different whiskeys, from the different grains. And that's, if you've got your own farm and you're growing your own grains, you can do those kinds of things. I mean, this would be very difficult for anybody to duplicate. It would be just an awful. It's still a lot of work, I'm sure, just for them. But at least it's their farm and it's there, and I find it very creative. I'd love to.
Oh no, these are very
find
cool.
Someplace. Yeah,
that's what. Yeah, I don't. Well, next time we have to buy it the second we hear about it. But I think I heard about it when it was already too late.
Right.
At least. Well, and then it's a lottery. I mean, you're not even
exactly right. Yeah,
what's the odds
lottery to buy one
of getting it?
Right.
And then obviously we have to bring up the point that the press release says wheat whiskey, and we know this is not because it's got all these other components. It's a blend of straights, but the label actually says American whiskey. So again, I think it was a bit of a disconnect between, PR and the distillery, because the bottle's labeled correctly.
Yep.
So
another interesting American whiskey product, right? I mean, it's certainly not a single malt; it's a multiple malt. Maybe we get a new category.
Well, multiple malt and wheat.
Right.
And
there you go.
Wasn't there bourbon in there?
I think there was a little bit of bourbon, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd say, actually, Frey Ranch was one of the ones that I had very little experience with, and they were at the Bruzel Fest.
Oh,
so
really?
I did get to try a bunch of theirs there, and they were honestly very good. This one was not here, but the ones I tried were very good. So
I think I've got a single barrel bourbon and a single barrel rye that I was able to get online, and I've been very happy with them.
Yeah, no, they make excellent. They're really not they're not sold in Kentucky.
No, I had to get it online. I got it shipped to me. So, yeah.
All right, so moving on. Taking a look at our time, I think we're doing all right. So, so Milam Greene has announced Guadalupe Bass Straight Bourbon, the second limited release in their 2025 Wildlife Collection, distilled in Kentucky, Texified, which I think we've talked about, in Blanco, Texas, and bottled at 125.1 proof. This 7-year-old cask strength bourbon was crafted from 3 select barrels and honors the rare Guadalupe bass found only in the rivers of the northern and eastern Edwards Plateau of Texas. Look at what you learn on our podcast.
I know, right.
Part of a series that explores Part of a series that explores how hill country weather shapes whiskey. Proceeds from the release will support the Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation. The bourbon will be available for $150 exclusively online and for pickup at the distillery beginning Wednesday, October 8th at 3 p.m. Central Time. Ampersand Society members, which is their group, but you just have to sign up, will receive early access with a password released at 10 a.m. on that date. So if you want them, that's the way to get them.
Yeah, my sense is there aren't going to be that many bottles of this with 3 barrels, but a 60-36-4 mash bill, I think, and I think I read that it's a Green River product. Of course, it's aged in Texas. So
well, that's the Texified. So they bring it down.
Yeah,
I don't know how many years it's. Yeah, I mean it's variable with how many years they spend in Kentucky and then Texas. I don't remember if that was in the press release.
I don't remember seeing.
But in honor of it, we're drinking a different Milam Greene because we don't have that one. This is their bottled in bond. Which how do you like it?
I like it quite well. It's the first sip had some earthiness to it that I think has gone away, and it's very tasty, very, very. It's not overly complex, but it's not just a one-note bourbon either. So,
and it's helping my voice get through this lengthy 21
medicinal whiskey, folks.
Exactly,
it's the key. Just remember, medicinal whiskey.
But no, it's very good, and I've had a lot of the Milam Greene whiskeys, and I think that they've all been very good. I mean, I've enjoyed them.
And I was telling you, I hadn't really tried the Milam Greene one, so this is really my first time that I remember trying them, and it's a good product. So I like the concept.
I'm trying to think back. There was a release event that we went to in Louisville for this a media event back. I do not know exactly when. It maybe a year and a half ago. I have no sense of time anymore. But what day is it?
Yeah, right. It's Monday when you're listening.
I know,
to
that's the thing. It's tomorrow.
Right.
It's hard enough. All right. Next is Baker's Bourbon is reintroducing its high rye 7-year-old single barrel Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey. Made from a bourbon mash bill with more rye grain than the traditional Baker's recipe, this release highlights how the distinct grain blend influences each barrel's individuality. The liquid is distilled to proof and barreled and aged for a minimum of 7 years, allowing the bourbon to pull more caramel, dried fruit, and vanilla flavor from the barrel wood. Bottled at 107 proof and priced at $75 for a 750 milliliter bottle, each single barrel offers its own distinctive character. The whiskey pays tribute to Baker Beam, grandnephew of Jim Beam, whose experience delivering grains to the distillery deepened his appreciation for their role in whiskey making. As the story goes.
That's the story goes. So, and it's a higher rye recipe, but of course they don't tell us what the recipe is, and I couldn't find it anywhere on the website.
I assume not as high as Basil Hayden, unless that's what they used for it.
Yeah, I don't know. What I did find was if you go to the website, if you've got a bottle of Baker's, whether it's the high rye or any other Baker's product, there's a barrel number on the neck tag. And you can go to their website and you can plug that barrel number in. And apparently they have RFID chips on the barrels, and it will tell you where the barrel was. It will tell you what the highest and lowest temperature it experienced was. The highest, lowest. I mean, I'd never done that before, and that was just went down that rabbit hole pretty quickly this morning.
No, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you try this last year?
I did, yeah. I mean, I haven't tried this year's. I got a bottle last year. I tried it. I really liked it. I'll be looking for this one. I think it's a great product.
I tried it we went to the Baker's dinner that, they have at the kitchen table at Beam.
Right.
So there's often focus on a specific release, and that was for this and for the Baker's 13, which is one of my favorite things that Beam makes. And yes, this was, well, the 13 was fantastic, but I'm partial to the 13. But this one was very good, and it was also in a cocktail, which it obviously stood out very well, and at 107 proof with high rye. So it's very well suited to that. But it was very good on its own as well.
Yeah, the 13 is wonderful, but I like ryes, and so I know this is not a rye, but it's a higher rye bourbon, and I tend to like that. So looking forward to finding a bottle of this, and they're pretty easy to find. They're not scarce.
They should be easy to find.
Yeah.
All right, next, Eric LeGrand Bourbon, the first spirits brand to partner with Rutgers Athletics, has teamed up with Rutgers University to release the inaugural bourbon in the new Scarlet Knight series. This limited edition Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey celebrates the university's legacy and mascot while honoring co-founder Eric LeGrand, a former Rutgers football player. Aged for 5 years and bottled at 92 proof, the bourbon is crafted from a mash bill of 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley, which I think we all recognize where that came from.
Yes, we do.
It will be available in 750 milliliter bottles for a suggested retail price of $55 at select New Jersey retailers, online, and at bars and restaurants statewide.
So by my count, this is the fourth or fifth release that's Green River product, and that's fine. It's good, good for them. This has a charitable component. I think $5 from every case they sell goes to the Christopher Reeve and his wife have created a foundation that studies paralysis and things like that. So there's a charitable aspect to this as well as a sports mascot. So good for them.
But you know why that is?
I do not.
Well, because he's done amazing things. So I mean, he was a football player, but he had a horrible injury and was paralyzed after. So good. So that's his attachment to those charities, and he's doing this and he's giving back and trying to help others, and he's done a lot since his horrible injury.
Yeah. So I'm clearly not the sports guru. And probably not even a bourbon guru.
Well, you didn't ask me why I included another regional bourbon one, but the reason I included this was for a completely different reason than the other one. This one I'm very proud
of.
This is a
positive
what
reason.
He
there you
has done, and
rightly so.
It deserves us talking about.
That's right.
About him.
Right.
All right. Next, Brown-Forman has announced the return of its highly coveted oft-coveted King of Kentucky, now in its 8th year and bottled as a limited edition single-barrel bourbon aged for 17 years. This release was drawn from 63 barrels personally selected by Master Distiller Emeritus. He's retired about as well as I have. Chris Morris, from the 4th floor of Warehouse J and the 1st floor of Warehouse G, distilled at 2 production dates in 2007. Proofs range from 124.4 to 135, with only 5,000 bottles produced. Each bottle is filled, bottled, wax-dipped, and numbered by hand, and includes detailed information such as age, proof, warehouse location, lot number, and barrel number. The suggested retail price is $399.
And probably 99 cents. So it's
no, I don't think it actually had them.
Oh, okay.
Well, we got rid of the penny, so that's all.
There you go. We can't have that.
Right.
So, I mean,
which honestly is not a horrible thing.
No, it's not. King of Kentucky is almost legendary, right? I mean, Brown-Forman has done a great job of not only producing wonderful bourbon, but marketing it well. And
well, you don't have to. Yeah, I don't know. Wait. Does this need marketing?
It doesn't. No, I mean, it really doesn't, right? So it's going to sell.
Our chances of finding a bottle are harder than the Pappy stuff, but honestly, it's significantly better.
And so
these have always been outstanding.
Yeah, my brother had some out of town friends, and he said, "Hey, they had something called King of Kentucky. Is it any good?" I said, "Yeah." and apparently they were smart enough. They went to Evergreen Liquor on a Wednesday afternoon.
Oh, that's the only time I get to try it.
Yeah, $40.
That's the only time I'm going to get to try this one.
$40 for King of Kentucky shot. It's like, well, okay, that's half price. That's worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what half price Wednesdays are for.
Understood. So yeah. So shout out to Evergreen on that. Good.
But I mean,
deals.
Whenever I put King of Kentucky in a flight with things that would be its peers, it just always stands out as the winner. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they are single barrel, so that your results may vary, but
of course,
they have a good chance of being extremely good.
I mean, if there were 63 barrels and the yields 5,000 bottles, that's it's 17 years old. And so that's not great yields, and so it's sort of what you expect for a 17-year-old. That's why it's $400. Right?
And I'm sure there's one short barrel in there with 11 bottles in it that people are going to go crazy for, and it's going to go for some ungodly amount of money.
That's right. You're right. Yeah.
Well, 1,000's probably an understatement.
It probably is.
Because just the regular goes for close to that.
Right. Well, so going back to Chris Morris retiring, this next release could have had Chris Morris, but it doesn't. So there you go.
Well, the proof has gone up at Woodford ever since Chris
left. Yeah, it has. Yeah, because not everything is 94 anymore.
No, in fact, that's the minority.
I know it is, isn't it? Yeah.
All right, anyway, so without further ado, Woodford Reserve has unveiled its first ever barrel strength rye, a pre-prohibition style rye whiskey bottled at a robust 125.1 proof, crafted by master distiller Elizabeth McCall. From the distillery's traditional 53% rye mash bill, this bold expression delivers more pronounced spice and tobacco notes, layered with fruit, floral, and subtle sweetness. Bottled at batch strength rather than the standard 90.4 proof, the limited edition rye highlights the heritage of America's original rye whiskeys. It is available in 700 milliliter bottles for $129.99. They still think we have pennies, with sales beginning October 2nd at 10 a.m. online and at the Woodford Reserve Distillery, limit 2 per person, as well as at select retailers. But I suspect this is still around. So to celebrate the launch, Master Distiller Elizabeth McCall will host an exclusive guided tasting on October 9, so you can get tickets. I've never actually done a tasting with her, featuring the classic Woodford Reserve rye, the 2011 Masters Collection New Cask Rye, that's way back in that series, and the new Barrel Strength Rye. Each guest will receive a bottle of the new release to take home, and tickets are $215. So that's actually pretty decent
not a bad deal.
No, it's good. I'm sure those are sold out, but that's
actually as of Sunday morning, there were 2 left.
Really?
And I was really bummed because I already have something I'm doing that night because I was getting ready to snatch those up, and it's like, but no, they're probably gone by the time people listen to this. But
by now, when you tell me they're still available,
I know, right? Yeah,
potentially. Because I've never done a tasting with
either.
her, and I would really like to try 125.1 proof Woodford
Me too.
rye.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'll be looking for a bottle of this because I love rye, first of all, and Woodford just doesn't. This is a distiller series, I think. So they do come out at a a cask strength, a batch proof kind of thing, but.
well, they have been now. I mean,
Right.
Elizabeth McCall
changed
has
that.
been releasing a lot of things that. Well, I mean, she hasn't had the actual title for that long, but during that time, wasn't it a barrel strength bourbon fairly recently?
I think yes, it was.
Right. And then she is definitely upping the proof. Mm-hmm. So it'll be very interesting to try these especially the rye. I mean, but everything really at the higher proof. All right, so.
Last but not least,
and we will keep this just under an hour, amazingly. Well, not with my lengthy closing, but so this is just a quick mention because you could have a chance to get these. So this hasn't been advertised anywhere except in Beam Distilling's Instagram story. Little Book The Infinite 2, which, as you may or may not know, was delayed greatly due to a labeling problem, is now going to be available at the American Outpost. And it says a store near you, I don't know, at 9 a.m. on October 8th. So it's probably going to be at the distillery. I do not know what that other distribution is going to be. So no additional details were provided. And when I asked the PR company about it, they said the nationwide release is not going to be until, I think she said November. So
wow.
I do not know what this at a store near you part means. But I think if you're near the distillery and you want this, 9 a.m. on October 8th, that will be the place, well, probably 5 a.m. will be the place to be, but or earlier. But
and they're going to re-releasing it nationally, so they know, they've got some stocks, but again, they limit what they sell through the Outpost. So, I might go on the 9th and see if they've got some, the next day, because they're gonna sell out the first day, right? But they're going to hold some back, I guess. We'll see.
I don't know. So. For the bowling pins, we just rolled in like 11 o'clock that morning after hiking at Bernheim and bought them and left. Right. It was very easy. Yeah. So maybe this will be the same way. Yeah. Because I definitely want to get a bottle of that. Mm-hmm. All right. Me too. Anything else to say about it?
No. It's the same box as Booker, except it's black. It's really pretty if you've never seen an Little Book Infinite. So they're really cool. So. Yeah.
No, and we know nothing about this. I mean, it's going to be a blend of things, I'm sure. But we have no idea. So be a big surprise. Mm-hmm. But the 8th is what? Well, Wednesday. Really soon. Yeah,
a couple days. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think we did it. Well, that about does it for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed this edition of the Bourbon Obsessed New Bourbon Releases Podcast, your commercial-free and therefore money-free bourbon podcast. Please be sure to join us next Monday for our Bourbon and Distillery News podcast. We'll have lots to discuss. Also, be sure to like and follow us at your preferred podcast provider so that you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to tell all your friends too. You can also head over to bourbonobsessed.com to check out some of our over 350 bourbon reviews, including this one, and over 50 distillery write-ups. While you are there, you can also sign up to have my newsletters delivered directly to your inbox. Finally, I can also be found on Instagram at Bourbon_Obsessed and on Facebook at Bourbon Obsessed, and would love for you to follow me there as well. Dean, where can they find you?
People find me on Instagram at Dean of Bourbon with underscores, and invite you to follow me. I'm not a frequent poster, but I try and make it worthwhile when I do. So like you won't see any Bourbon of the Banks photos because I was too busy drinking. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Balance, Dean, balance.
Cheers, everybody.
Right, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.